Hello, good afternoon. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Put your questions in the comments now so that I can answer your questions. Let me go back here. So I'm setting up here and I have a special guest today on my live show. Hi there. Hi, everyone. So I have a special guest on the live today. This is Joshua. Joshua, today is Take Your Child to Work Day. And Joshua, who is a regular paper shredder here at SC Law Office, future law partner in the next 12 years, is here as my assistant to help me with live and to see how I connect with you all in helping to solve immigration problems. So Joshua is going to help to read some comments here on YouTube. Josh, come into the frame here on Instagram so that they can see you and wave hi. Come closer to me so you can see. Yeah. So this is, and then on TikTok, and then you're here on center frame on YouTube.
Someone said, can you sponsor 2 different people within a year?
Okay, yes. So can you sponsor 2 different people within a year? Yes. So Josh is anxious to get started with questions. So Josh is cute. Thank you so much. Josh is anxious to get started on questions. So the answer to that question is yes. And Josh, I'm going to make you read on here and then I'll read that part. So we'll start with YouTube. Hi there, Maxine. So we don't have any questions yet, but when we get questions on YouTube, let me know and then you can read the questions there. Okay. All right. So I'm taking questions today. So let's take some questions. How long does it take? Let's see. The questions are coming in. How long does it take to file adoption for stepchildren? So that is for an adoption lawyer. That wouldn't be for me. Can you get a green card just after F1 status? Yeah, it's possible. If you are qualified for the green card, you can adjust your status from F1 to green card. So for example, say you have a US citizen parent and you have F1 status and you're under 21, then you can move from F1 to green card being the immediate relative of a US citizen. Hi, can you apply for a work permit if you're here on B1, B2? The general answer is no, you can't. No, yeah, go ahead.
J1 AU payer apply for I-140 and I-485 in their second year?
So no, it's going to depend. Thanks for that, Josh. It's going to depend on a number of factors. It's possible now going from J1 to green card, is your employer fully involved in the petition process? Because that's going to take petitioning. And are you subject to the 2-year foreign residency requirement? If you are, then you have to get a waiver before your employer can move forward with that petitioning process. And it's also going to depend on your qualifications for that job as well. So, make sure you get legal advice because there are some specific requirements that you have to make sure that you're following.
Are you protected from a deportation if you're married to a U.S. citizen and have a pending I-485 application?
Yep. So the likelihood of being deported at that point is very low because you have a pending process. Now you don't. It's if you do something that can cause you to be detained by ICE, that may be a different story. But generally having, yes, an I-130 and a pending I-485 means you get a work permit, means you get your social security at the same time, and that usually protects you from being detained by ICE.
Can you get a green card just after F1 status?
Oh, yep, I answered that one. Let's see. Let's go here. Do you see that one?
Please, what options that someone with the F1 visa holder that failed to finish his program have?
So in this case, I wouldn't be able to tell you what specific options you have unless I speak with you in a consultation, because I have to determine whether you qualify for an option. That still is like an overstay. And it means that we have to look at those alternative options to see if you qualify and just determine what the circumstances are behind you not finishing the program, and what have you been through that could qualify you for some relief that could get you the work permit and status here.
I have a stepdaughter in Jamaica. If I adopt her, can I feel her?
I think file for her
with her brothers.
So you can petition for a stepchild if you have been married to the parent before the stepdaughter turned 18. So if you married the parent of that stepdaughter before that stepdaughter turned 18, you can petition for her just like any of your other children. Now, if you don't have that the relationship with your stepdaughter for immigration purposes, because you got married to the parent before your stepdaughter or after your stepdaughter turned 18, you would not be able to petition for them as a stepdaughter. Adopting is a different matter. You do have to adopt your stepdaughter before your daughter turns 16. So it's like 6.5 dozen, because you either have to adopt before they're 16. But why would you do that if they're if you got married to the parent when they were under 18, you could just petition for them just like your regular child. So my answer to this is, if your stepchild is over 18, the answer is no. Go ahead, Josh. Any other?
Can you get a work permit on pending I-130?
No. So no you have to apply for the I-485 at the same time that you're applying for the I-130, and you have to qualify for adjustment of status to be able to get that.
How long will it take to answer after applying for a travel document?
So right now you're looking at about a year, unless you have an emergency situation and you want to apply for an emergency travel document. You could get that in a month or so.
Is there a deadline for filing for VW?
That's VAWA.
VAWA.
All right. So VAWA, there's no deadline if you still have that relationship. So if your parent-child, the deadline for the child would be that you have to apply before you turn 21, or you have to have a good explanation or show that the abuse led to the delay in you applying, and you have up until you're 24, right? You can't get to 25 to apply for this. If it's marriage and you're still married, even if you're separated, no matter how long ago this was, you can still apply. If you're divorced or your spouse has passed away, you have 2 years to apply for VAWA after the death or the divorce of that spouse.
Is an undocumented immigrant came to U.S. with a B1/B2 visa, if they overstayed, can they get an extension if they overstayed in the U.S.?
So there is a new policy in place that says if you can show exceptional circumstances related to the reason you didn't apply on time to get an extension, there may be a chance that they can reinstate it. But say this was years, you've overstayed by years now, it's very unlikely that you would be able to succeed on that filing. This is where it's very important to get legal advice. And this is where it's important to do the consultation, because I can evaluate whether there are other options available to help you if you've overstayed.
How long does it take when
You can just move on.
expired visa/passport visitor for 45 years, now married, can they get green card?
If you're married to a U.S. citizen, or a permanent resident, but if you have an expired visa and you're here in the U.S. and you're married to a citizen, then it's possible to get the green card through adjustment of status. You want to read this one? Let's take some questions from here.
Can a Jamaican seeking asylum get a green card?
You can get a green card after you've been approved for asylum.
If an undocumented immigrant came to you,
I think you read that.
The results for DV lottery all come out on same day, or do they keep coming for several?
So I believe they come out at the same time, and then you have to wait for when it is your date is your priority date is the number that you've been given when that is current on the visa bulletin. That's okay. Yeah.
After you get your advance parole card, what would be the next step?
So it depends. I'm not sure how you got the advance parole. Usually when you're going through adjustment of status, or you applied for DACA, or you have certain types of statuses, you can get advance parole, which is the same as getting a travel document to leave and come back to the US. However, in this case, I don't know what the next step would be, because I don't know what application you filed for. If you filed through family or marriage, then the next step could be you get your green card in the mail, or you get a request for evidence for the medical, and then you get your green card, or you get scheduled for the interview.
Have you ever lost any VAWA cases before?
So far, we've been very lucky. No, we haven't. So we say in Jamaica, we say knock on wood. And so I'm doing that now to make sure, and that does happen. But as lawyers, sometimes we have to fight harder for some cases. I have not had any denials, but it is something as lawyers we always have to be prepared for. But so blessed that that hasn't happened, because we're very good at presenting very good cases for our clients. So knock on wood, we keep going on that pattern. But we are prepared to fight for our clients either way.
Do results for DV lottery all come out on the same day, or do they keep coming for several?
I think you answered that one already. All right, we go.
How long does it take for you to be scheduled for an interview when you've been documented?
So I'm not sure what you mean by documented. If you are applying through adjustment of status, they may just waive that interview altogether. Right now, processes are taking 10 to 12 months, and you may get the green card in that time, or you may get scheduled for the interview in that time. Yeah, go ahead, Josh. You want to look at that?
And NVC get my document from last year. How long is it going to take to hear from my sibling? From sibling.
Okay, so if you've applied for your siblings, it's a 14-year process. So it may be a while.
Ha- if I came with a fiance visa and no longer with my fiance, can I get married with another person?
Oh, this is a very important question. You cannot. You cannot adjust status. If you came here on a fiance visa and then you marry someone else, end up marrying someone else, you cannot get adjustment of status through that other US citizen spouse. So, very important you understand the repercussions here. It doesn't mean you don't qualify for any relief, but we would have to then check to see, and even VAWA is limited in this case. But say you came here and the fiance subjected you to mistreatment and forced you to do things against your will, the T status is definitely a possibility here, but we have to learn what occurred, why, what happened that you didn't end up marrying the fiance. And based on your facts, we can determine whether there's an option for you. So give us a call, schedule an appointment, let's talk.
Can an illegal immigrant through border get married to a GC holder and adjust status?
So no, they cannot. If you've overstayed or crossed the border without permission, you cannot get married and then adjust status through that green card holder spouse. But if that green card holder spouse mistreated you, then VAWA is an option that allows you to stay here in the U.S. and then get your protection, and then apply for adjustment of status to get the green card, work permit, and travel document. So that is one option. But if the spouse is not mistreating you and you have they want to petition for you, they're gonna have to do a waiver to get forgiveness for the illegal entry, and then go you're going to have to go back to it doesn't allow you to stay here and get the green card. You still have to go and do the final interview at the embassy in your country. So that's the last resort option. VAWA if you're being mistreated. And otherwise, you'll have to go back and get your green card that way.
Um, on a marriage base, oh wait, can I get a 10-minute consultation with you, please?
So we only do 30 minutes. Go ahead, call the office, schedule your appointment.
On a marriage based green card, can I sponsor my parents?
No. You have to wait until you yourself are a U.S. citizen to petition for your parents.
Uh, if my husband entered illegally, can he's be in can he be interviewed but be
Waived.
be waived?
So if he entered illegally, he will not be able to qualify for adjustment of status unless there's some sort of exception that applies to him. Normally, he would not be able to qualify for adjustment of status. Um, the interview, if he qualifies and the officer has no further questions, it can very well be waived. But just that fact alone raises red flags for me about his ability to apply for adjustment of status. If you have an attorney, make sure you're talking to that attorney.
Can someone with TPS who came in illegal travel and come in and get married and adjust? I'm assuming adjust status.
So there have been questions about whether TPS is an official status to adjust status, and in some cases it has been successful that TPS holders have been able to adjust status. However, in this case, because of the illegal entry, It really comes down to more detailed legal analysis to determine whether you would qualify, whether the TPS can help you to qualify. For example, if you got advance parole, you traveled out of the country and then you came back because you got advance parole as a TPS holder, then in that case, you now have a legal entry on your record that can be used for purposes of adjustment of status. That's what many DACA and TPS recipients do in the case of illegal entry. So it just depends on your facts here. Get legal advice and representation. That's going to be very important in your situation. You want to read this one?
Can I file 1485 before VAWA is approved?
Right. So can I file the I-485 before VAWA is approved? Absolutely. Yes, you can. Now, you do have to qualify. You have to either have a current priority date or you have to be the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen to be able to file the adjustment of status. But the adjustment of status application is what's going to get you your work permit and your travel document.
Can I get a green card from someone who's in jail?
If they waived the interview, if they don't waive the interview and they call you for an interview, that might be a problem. You may need to ask them to reschedule until that person is released or to provide an exception in your circumstance. All right. You see any more questions? Well, there are a ton of more questions.
There's 20 more. Should I send the husband or my husband left to Mexico after we were already sent to the NVC portion of his process? What's next?
Okay, so he has to wait for his interview at the embassy. And then just be prepared for a possibility you might have to apply for. I don't know if you applied for the I-601A waiver already. If he's gotten his interview and he's going to the interview with an approved I-601A waiver, then he should go to the interview. The overstay or the illegal entry shouldn't be held against him since the waiver is approved, and he would come back with his immigrant visa. If his interview hasn't been scheduled, he'll have to wait for it to be scheduled. And if he applied, hopefully he applied for a waiver to help to forgive the whatever happened in the past. All right.
How long does it take to get a work permit when it was approved 765?
Yeah, so about a week to 2 weeks to get the work permit in the mail.
Asylum case pending for 8 years. What could I do?
Yeah, so that is right now, that's the average wait time. There are over 1 million asylum cases pending right now. And so each case is taking an average of about 8 years. So unless you have a reason to expedite your case, unfortunately, you're in the same situation as everyone else. If you escaped your trafficker and then find new work, will that disqualify you from T visa? No, absolutely not. Some of my clients have moved on. Some of my clients that have been approved have moved on many years from the trafficker and still got approved. You want to read?
What could make my citizen husband...
Let's see if we can find it. Okay, here it is.
What could make my citizen husband unqualified to file for me to have my green card?
So, that's a very broad question. I would say if there's anything in his background where he was convicted for an offense that involved minor, then that could be a big problem. That could be one of the problems. If he's married to someone else and never terminated the previous marriage, that could be another thing. But you'd really have to tell me what your circumstances are to determine whether your spouse qualifies to file for you. All right, so let's do one more question and then we are going to head out today. Um, but I will be back. I think I've been on a good streak this week, so I want to keep this up. I'll be back tomorrow at lunchtime, around lunchtime, to be able to answer your questions again. But I'm going to go into an appointment next. So we only have one more question. So just choose that question.
I use J1 with two red. RE.
All right, that refers to the 2-year foreign
Request.
residency requirement. Yeah.
I am in administrative closure. Married to U.S. citizen, 1 to IDA 130 approved. Rest of my adjustment of status. What can the court adjust my status?
So the court
can the court adjust my status?
Yeah, the court can, but you have the 2-year foreign residency requirement that applies, and the court is going to look at that to determine whether you're admissible for adjustment of status. There is a waiver for the 2-year requirement. So you need to look at that waiver as well. But once you are admissible, you show by clear and convincing evidence that your marriage is real, then the court and you're not inadmissible, the court will adjust status as well. All right. Thanks, everyone, for your time today. I'll be back tomorrow to answer some questions. So thanks again. Thanks for all your great questions. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Now, if you want to schedule an appointment, you know what to do. Go to the link in the profile on Instagram, on TikTok, in the description of the video, on Facebook and YouTube. Click on that to be able to see your options to schedule your appointment or get in touch with the office. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.